everyone. My name is George Elliot Clarke, and I am the proud owner of this copy of War Canticles, published by Vallum earlier this year in spring 2022. I'm going to record for you a poem from this brand new chapbook, which is entitled Cathay 1860, or Cathay Answers 1860, a very brief preface to the poem. In 1860, England and France, with the secret support of the United States of America, went to war against the Kingdom of China, the Empire of China, in order to force the Chinese to accept opium that the British, of course, were gathering in Afghanistan and needing a market for it. And so they decided to impose opium on the Chinese, but by force, by war. And in the peace treaty that occurred in 1861 between England and France, they also demanded not only that China accept this Afghanistan opium, or Afghan opium, but also that the Chinese would allow the British and the French to take any number of Chinese citizens that they wished to take, to grab, to essentially enslave and use them as cheap labor in all of their colonies all over the world. And so that is why there are sizable Chinese populations today, everywhere the British Empire was or existed, and everywhere that the French Empire was or existed. And now you know why. Also, of course, Hong Kong was surrendered to the English as a result of that very atrocious peace treaty. It shouldn't even be called a peace treaty. It was actually a more like an enslavement treaty that the British and the French imposed, again with the secret backing of the United States, on China. Another point I have to say before I begin to recite the poem, I believe that the West, which has been founded, and when I say West, I mean Western Europe, and its satellites, which include Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and some other countries around the world, have not given up the great lessons they learned during the heyday of Western imperialism, Western European plus American and Canadian imperialism, which was that might makes right, and white might makes even more right, and riches for white people. In other words, I think that right now, in the fall of 2022, I believe that the West, which again means Europe and its satellites, are planning to go to war with the People's Republic of China in order to prevent that nation from potentially becoming the #1 economic power in the world. And everything about the history of the West says that that's exactly what is planned. So I wrote this poem and set it in 1860, and I give to it the voice of a Chinese official giving advice to the emperor on how to deal with the British and the French, partly as a means to remind us all of the viciousness with which Europe has tended to treat China. And so that we'll all be very suspicious of all the propaganda that is being propagated right now against the People's Republic of China. So here's the poem. Cathay Answers, 1860. The Anglo-French comic opera buffoons, unsophisticated like all messiahs, looking Claytonish, sickly, pale, and mincing, pure eunuchs despite their gunpowder, our invention and their loot, descend like fussy, prissy swans upon our harbors. The amusing aviary, preening, crooning, vaunt cannon resembling sable wings. Let us minister our pepper, gunpowder, where most propitious, and skewer the French duck, and goulash the Anglo goose, so mortality trumps vulgarity. Channel our shots to bastinado the pallid poultry. Skin white like plucked chickens, our cannons savor chewing up the pallid waterfowl. Yet we'll also cut 'em by blade to aid the cannon's digestion. We want the Yangtze to resemble a starry gazy pie, with the blonde heads of the white devils gazing upwards from rivulets of rapids like fish heads, gaping upward from pie crust. Amid blooms of fire, their blood must fly as sheer rain or flow in rubicund jocund flood, tiding the yellow river orange. Horses' green meal, pure grass, should turn russet. The blank-faced hordes swerve out of the sea's blue void to try to thrust Cathay into hell. But we outnumber their mirror steel. We'll enact immeasurable blockage, mass, and drive the rampant rats back into the sea, the bone-white abyss, the candid periphery. Press these miserable carnivores into crimsoned corners where our shark-tooth sharp blades slick. Their phosphorescent bodies will foam a homely botch, a scissors and paste blotch, red papier-mâché and plaster of Paris. Even their kings will end as weeds, garbed in silk. They crave to sick opium on us, to fashion us phthisic jaundiced wantons. Our philosophy mandates their morose biology. Eggs into larvae, larvae into pupae, pupae into mosquitoes. Thus, blandishments and carte blanche end as wave-bleached and sea-beached bones. Picture flaming ships and charred, drifting dead. I advise the emperor, cease twisty discussions. Any predilection for dogma, sermons, garganing, jargon, to plaster over shit won't make it solid. Edge statecraft into warfare, destroy the Caucasoid crooks, leaguing against Cathay. Guillotine their dazzle, rob them of power by robbing them of breath. Ants can swarm, yes, but a foot crushes him. Let Hippomachie, fighting by horseback, replace diplomacy with stallions, cannons, blood-washed gold braid. We cannot be doubtful conquerors. Kill the Caucasians continuously. Ensure all that remains is livid, putrid garbage. If we demonstrate diligent malignity, we'll be delirious in making war, so joyous on making peace, till London and Paris are ruins. Victory is a hammer wielded against an egg. Annapolis Royal, Nova Scotia, 23rd of March, 2014, is where Cathay Answers 1860 was written by yours truly, George Elliot Clarke, and you'll find that poem in this, I'll say it, great Vallum chapbook, War Canticles, War Canticles. Thanks so much.